Love isn't always perfect. Sometimes it's messy, complicated, and born in the most difficult moments. In Youth of May, we meet two young people, Hee Tae and Myung Hee, whose worlds collide during a time of political chaos and personal struggle. Their story shows us how love can be a light in the darkest times, and how even the smallest connection can change everything. The story begins in the present day, with a haunting discovery: a skeleton is unearthed at a construction site. No name, no clue, just bones buried beneath the dirt. As the police send them off for forensic testing, the news spreads. At a quiet train station, a middle-aged man watches the report, eyes filled with sorrow. He breaks down in tears. And just like that, the past comes flooding back. We are transported to May 1980, in the city of Gwangju, South Korea. The streets are alive, but not with celebration. Instead, they echo with chants of protest. Students march passionately, demanding the release of their fellow classmates who were wrongfully imprisoned. Among them is Hee Tae, but he's not protesting. He watches from the sidelines, before quietly driving away in his beat-up car. His destination? A car dealership, where he trades in his vehicle for cash. When Hee Tae returns to his dormitory, he's met with cold stares. His absence at the protest hasn't gone unnoticed. One of the student leaders, In-jae, confronts him directly. Hee Tae tries to laugh it off and even hugs him playfully, but it only earns him a punch to the face. Things don't get better with his ex-girlfriend, Eugene. Just a week after breaking up, she asks Hee Tae to marry her. She wants a doctor, a stable, successful husband. But when Hee Tae refuses, she lashes out, hitting him across the face with her handbag. Hee Tae's mind is elsewhere. He rushes to the hospital where a loved one, Sukul, lies in critical condition. Despite paying the medical bills, the doctors give him devastating news: there's little hope left. Sukul weakly whispers that she wants to go home. And in that moment, Hee Tae promises to make it happen. He boards a train to Gwangju, pleading with doctors there to accept the transfer. But bureaucracy is cold and unyielding. His efforts fall on deaf ears. Meanwhile, in the same hospital, we meet Myung Hee, a dedicated nurse who works tirelessly, even if it means drawing resentment from her co-workers. When she stands up to an arrogant patient, she's called into the director's office only to cross paths with Hee Tae, who's also there seeking help. Myung Hee is scolded and dismissed. Hee Tae's request is also denied. Two strangers, each defeated in their own way, leave the office unaware that fate is already weaving their lives together. Later, Myung Hee returns home and meets her best friend, Lee Soo-ryan, a fiery law student with a rebellious spirit. She's just reunited with Soo-chan, her flirtatious and charming childhood friend. Amid the banter, Myung Hee receives news: she's been accepted to study abroad. But instead of celebrating, she decides to wait. There's not enough money yet, and she plans to earn it herself. Back at the dorm, Hee Tae is jolted awake in the middle of the night. His father has come for him. Cold and authoritative, he demands Hee Tae return home immediately. He forces his son to write a statement detailing every moment of his day. Using a harsh metaphor, he compares Hee Tae to a withered plant, useless, without potential. Desperate, Hee Tae drops to his knees and offers a deal. He needs money. He'll do whatever his father wants in return. His father agrees, but with a price: Hee Tae must enter an arranged marriage to strengthen ties between families. Elsewhere, Soo-ryan is arrested for trespassing at her father's factory. She was printing protest flyers. Her father is furious and, in an attempt to tame her, sets up a blind date. But Soo-ryan has other plans. She persuades Myung Hee to go in her place. If she can charm the guy in just 3 dates, Soo-ryan will help her get the money for a plane ticket abroad. The plan is simple. What neither of them knows is that the man waiting at the dinner table is Hee Tae. On her way to the meeting, Myung Hee witnesses a little boy hit by a car. Memories of Sukul flash through Hee Tae's mind as he stands frozen. But Myung Hee, calm and quick-thinking, rushes to the boy's side. Thankfully, the child only fainted, and after bandaging his arm, she brings him to the hospital. Later that evening, she arrives at the restaurant, posing as Soo-ryan. She walks toward the table and introduces herself to none other than Hee Tae. And so, their story begins. Episode 2. Our story continues with Myung Hee rushing to meet her blind date, posing as her friend Sarayan. She tries hard to remember the rules Sarayan gave her. Act cold. Don't get attached. Keep it short and simple. But Myung Hee isn't exactly conventional. She orders beer as a starter, drinks straight from the bottle, and speaks her mind freely. Her hope? To scare him off. But instead of being put off, Hee Tae mirrors her every move with an amused smile. Everything she does to drive him away only draws him in more. And when she learns who he really is, a top medical student with the highest marks at university, her entire plan begins to crumble. Their fake date unexpectedly becomes enjoyable. Later, while shopping, Myung Hee's plan falls apart even more. She awkwardly limps in her heels, and Hee Tae quickly sees through her act. Yet he plays alone, intrigued and entertained. That night, he walks her home. But here's the surprising part: without saying a word, Hee Tae buys her a pair of shoes, ones that fit her perfectly. Myung Hee finds them the next morning, stunned and slightly unsettled. Sarayan, always the skeptic, wonders aloud, how does he know your shoe size? What if he's a weirdo? Elsewhere, Hee Tae's father continues to pull the strings. Over breakfast, he tells his son to continue seeing Sarayan for the sake of their families. But fate has other plans. That day, as Myung Hee tries to cross the street, a car speeds toward her. Hee Tae appears out of nowhere, pulling her out of harm's way. Panicked and flustered, Myung Hee bolts for a nearby bus. But Hee Tae follows her on board. In front of a bus full of strangers, he boldly asks for a second date. She tries to hide her embarrassment, but deep down, she's smiling. Later, Myung Hee watches her younger brother Kyung Soo run in a local competition. Through sheer willpower, he secures second place, earning a spot on the team. Their father, Kyung Soo, arrives to buy him new running shoes. But the shoes Myung Soo chooses are identical to the ones worn by Yeop Tae, a known school bully. At home, Myung Soo gently asks his sister if she truly hates living with him. He doesn't yet know that she's planning to leave for university abroad. Despite their difficult upbringing, he remembers the days when they were all happy, when their home still felt like home. But happiness doesn't last. The next morning, at school, Yeop Tae notices Myung Soo's new shoes and mocks him for copying his style. He calls him a beggar and begins to bully him. Meanwhile, Sarayan returns to her activist group, but the mood is tense. The others question how she was released from jail so quickly. Whispers of special treatment float in the air. Hurt, Sarayan reminds them that she was the one who risked everything printing protest flyers at her father's factory. Feeling betrayed, she walks away. Back at the hospital, Soo-chan drops by to see Myung Hee. She's busy preparing for her date and tries to play it cool. She avoids him gently, but he senses she's hiding something. Later that night, Myung Hee and Hee Tae meet again. This time, the playful act fades. Hee Tae is open and sincere. He tells her plainly she's different. She makes him laugh. He's drawn to her, not because of who she pretends to be, but who she is. Just when things seem perfect, Bayon Cheol, Myung Hee's arrogant co-worker, appears at the same restaurant. Loudly, he mocks her from a nearby table, calling her cold and heartless. Myung Hee sinks in her seat, humiliated. Hee Tae calmly walks over and pours a glass of cold water over the man's head. "Watch your mouth," he warns. Myung Hee runs out, overwhelmed, only to slip on the stairs. Without hesitation, Hee Tae lifts her up and carries her to the riverside. There, he gently wraps her sprained ankle as flower petals drift through the air. Under the moonlight, the two share a quiet, beautiful moment. Hee Tae opens up, he's planning to enter the university song festival, and he wants her to be there. She agrees. They promise one more date, before all the petals fall. It's no longer a performance. There's something real blooming between them. But Myung Hee's heart grows heavy with guilt. She's still pretending to be someone else. The next morning, as she walks downstairs with Sarayan, there's a surprise waiting, a gift from Hee Tae. But this time, he sees them both together. He smiles politely and greets Sarayan, but his eyes linger on Myung Hee, a silent message passing between them. Now, the lie teeters on the edge of discovery, and the line between truth and pretense begins to blur. Episode 3 opens with a charged moment, Myung Hee and Soo standing face to face with Hee Tae. Both women are tense, unsure of what he'll say. But Hee Tae doesn't flinch. He greets Soo casually, keeping Myung Hee's secret intact. Still, the awkward energy is undeniable, especially when Soo-chan arrives and places a hand on Myung Hee's shoulder, marking his presence in this quiet triangle of secrets and emotions. During dinner, the adults push Soo and Hee Tae to talk about each other. "What do you like about him?" they ask. "What do you like about her?" Neither has an answer that sounds real. Myung Hee sits silently, watching the scene unfold, both an outsider and the heart of the conflict. Later, outside under the evening sky, Hee Tae and Soo confront the truth. Hee Tae is blunt, he likes Myung Hee. But Soo, clearly protecting her own pride or maybe something deeper, claims Myung Hee doesn't feel the same. Still, Hee Tae isn't convinced. Back inside, he slips a folded note into Myung Hee's hand, a quiet invitation. One last date. Soo-chan watches this from a distance, silent, but clearly understanding that things are far more complicated than they appear. After Hee Tae leaves, Myung Hee makes her choice. Though she tells Soo she won't see him again, she shows up anyway. Their third date begins with a confession. Hee Tae reveals he's known all along. She's not some high society girl. She's the nurse from the ER. Their moment is cut short by a flustered girl named Jin-ae, who instantly becomes enamored with Hee Tae and hands him her number. Myung Hee watches from the side, clearly not amused. As the bus arrives, she hurries away without a word. The next day, Soo-chan finds Myung Hee and breaks the news. Hee Tae and Soo are going to be married. At least, that's what the parents want. But Hee Tae's heart clearly isn't in it. At a protest, Soo falls, and he rushes her to the ER. Myung Hee, watching from afar, mistakes their bickering for affection. But Hee Tae pulls her aside and speaks from the heart, "I don't want to stop seeing you." Myung Hee stuns him with her honesty. She's leaving for Germany in a month. Their time is limited. Back at home, Myung Hee's younger brother, Kyung Soo, is having a rough time. His new shoes, once a symbol of pride, now feel like a target. Yeop Tae, the bully from before, ends up in the same training room as him. Their clash over a jacket turns physical, and both boys are punished. Meanwhile, wedding preparations begin, and Myung Hee is there dressed, graceful, and impossible for Hee Tae to ignore. Even his father notices the way he looks at her but says nothing, for now. Hee Tae pulls Soo aside. He gives her an ultimatum, 3 days to tell the truth. If she doesn't, he'll take matters into his own hands. And considering Hee Tae's father is a dangerous man with a quick temper, this isn't an empty threat. Soon after, Hee Tae arrives at Myung Hee's home. She's surprised, and not in a good way. Their conversation is cut short when he stumbles and falls backward, dragging her down with him. They land on the ground, tangled, and watching wide-eyed from a distance, is Jin-ae. It turns out, Hee Tae is actually there to tutor Jin-ae, which adds yet another layer of awkwardness. Later that evening, the house quiets, and Hee Tae sits outside, strumming his guitar. The soft melody draws Myung Hee to the courtyard. There, under the night sky, he opens up once again. He tells her that when he thinks of her, he can't help but sing. He wants the next month to be special. No more hiding. No more pretending. He gently asks her, "Will you be with me until the end of May?" Their story, once born out of lies, now begins to feel real and beautifully fragile. Episode 4 opens in the darkness of Hee Tae's memories, visions that refuse to leave him. He sees Suk-shul, frail and fading, calling out in pain. These aren't just dreams, they're memories from his time in the military. In flashbacks, we see a younger Hee Tae, restricted and silenced, told not to make calls, not to write letters. Powerless. In the present, Myung Hee sits at the hospital front desk, still blushing from the night before. She tries to focus, but her heart keeps replaying their time together. When she gets up to do her rounds, she spots Hee Tae by the phone, still secretly trying to arrange a transfer for Suk-shul. He keeps it quiet when Myung Hee approaches, but he doesn't hold back from flirting. Later, Myung Hee makes a big decision. She hands in her resignation letter. She's getting ready to leave for good. But before she can go to Sarayan's, her friend rushes out the door. Jihai Publishing has been calling, but it's a cover. It's actually a secret signal, a meeting for student protesters. They arrive at the safe house, tense and cautious. But before long, pounding fists slam against the door. Men are outside, demanding to be let in. Sarayan is caught. She's dragged to meet Hee Tae's father, Kinam, who has been watching her closely. He knows what she's up to and threatens her coldly. Stay quiet or face the consequences. That same day, Myung Hee visits Sarayan's house, but finds Suchan and his aunt instead. The aunt, unaware of the tangled emotions in the room, begins questioning Myung Hee about potential brides for Suchan. Embarrassed, Suchan can barely hold back. It's painfully obvious he only has eyes for Myung Hee. Meanwhile, inside the Hee Tae household, tension bubbles like boiling water. Young Tae, embarrassed after classmates call Haryung a mistress, leaves for school early. Kinam, too, has problems. Sarayan's political activism is becoming a threat. But oddly enough, Hee Tae is in a great mood. Today is a special day. He meets Myung Hee, and together they visit Sarung orphanage. Hee Tae is introduced as a friend and a medical trainee. Nervous but sincere, he helps check up on the kids, while Myung Hee works outside, scrubbing laundry under the sun. While sharing a snack with a sweet little girl named Youngmi, tragedy strikes, she collapses. The diagnosis? Gastroenteritis. But for Hee Tae, the moment brings something else, terrifying memories of Sukshul. The helplessness. The failure. It all rushes back. Later, the two sit quietly under the fading sun. Hee Tae opens up. Maybe I'm not meant to be a doctor. Everything I touch, it breaks. But Myung Hee disagrees. Gently, she tells him he's being too hard on himself. That he'll be a great doctor because he cares. As they part ways, Hee Tae asks her to look back before she goes. She hesitates, then turns, smiling. It's a small gesture, but it means everything. She promises to give him her answer the next day. But danger lurks closer than they think. Kinam, suspicious, starts digging. He uncovers the truth: hospital files, secret photos, and one unmistakable conclusion: Hee Tae is seeing Myung Hee. Furious, he marches to Hyunchul's humble watch repair stand. The threat is sharp and simple: keep your daughter in line, or I will. The next day, Sarayan meets Hee Tae. Her voice shakes as she tells him the truth. Your father threatened me, too. To buy time and protect Myung Hee, she asks Hee Tae to keep pretending for just one more month. But time is slipping through their fingers. At training camp, Myung Soo becomes a target again. When the boys mock his father for having one leg, even Young Tae, his former bully, has enough. He punches the instigator. For the first time, the two boys connect, united by the shame they feel over their broken families. That night, under the stars, Myung Hee meets Hee Tae once more. Her eyes are heavy. Her voice trembles. We can't do this, she says. She asks him to go ahead and get engaged to Sarayan. And just like that, the warmth between them fades into the silence of the night. The episode 5 opens with heartbreak. In the middle of a quiet street, Myung Hee looks at Hee Tae and says something that breaks them both. You should get married. He's hurt. Shocked. But after a heavy pause, he agrees. He walks away, and Myung Hee is left standing alone, holding back tears. But this painful choice didn't come from nowhere. Earlier that day, Sarayan came to the hospital in tears, begging Myung Hee to let Hee Tae go for the sake of her family and their political future. Knowing what it would cost, Myung Hee agreed. The next day, Hee Tae visits Changkun and says they'll proceed with the engagement. Even though his heart isn't in it. That evening, he runs into Myung Hee. She pretends not to care and says she's leaving soon anyway. But both of them are clearly hurting. At home, Hee Tae silently hands his father a pack of cigarettes. His father, proud, praises him for staying away from petty emotions. Meanwhile, Myung Hee prepares to leave for Seoul. Her passport is delayed, but her mind is made up. Later, Hee Tae and Sarayan try on jewelry for the engagement. They smile for show, but they look miserable. Soon, the news hits the papers, and chaos erupts among the protesters. Some believe Soo is a traitor. Arguments break out. And when Hee Tae arrives, things only get worse. That night, Hee Tae finds out Myung Hee has already left. He returns to his room, where the once fresh flowers on his desk have wilted. A quiet reflection of their fading relationship. Later, Myung Hee comes home to find her father holding a letter she wrote. He tears it up and tells her to stop dreaming. It turns out her mother was once a protester too, before being silenced by this same man. Now, he wants Myung Hee to do the same. At the engagement ceremony, Soo and Hee Tae step into the spotlight. Applause surrounds them, but neither of them looks happy. In the back, Myung Hee watches silently. She doesn't clap. She doesn't smile. In the bathroom, she overhears women talking about how lucky the bride is. It only deepens her pain. After the ceremony, she finds Hee Tae outside, smoking. He jokes about grasshoppers, trying to lighten the mood. Then she tells him, "I don't want this maid to pass without you." She's wearing the shoes he gave her. He reaches for her hand, and she takes it. Together, they run, not knowing what lies ahead, but sure of one thing. They won't let love slip away again. Episode 6 begins with a stolen moment of freedom. Hee Tae and Myung Hee run away together, choosing love, if only for a brief while. But they're not alone. From a window above, Soo sees everything, and silently chooses to lie when her parents ask where Hee Tae is. Later that night, under soft streetlights, Hee Tae gently brushes Myung Hee's ear. They exchange small mementos, her earring, his tie, tokens to remember this night. Just before they share a kiss, a whistle blows. A guard interrupts, and their fairy tale is cut short. By morning, reality returns with a vengeance. Hee Tae's father slaps him across the face, warning that next time, it won't stop there. As tension lingers in the air, Soo arrives with a gift. Noticing Hee Tae's red cheek, they sit and quietly bond over shared grief, her brother, his mother, both losses that never fully healed. Meanwhile, Myung Hee volunteers at a church, but Haegun gives her the cold shoulder. He saw her with Hee Tae and doesn't hide his disappointment. She doesn't explain, she doesn't need to. Her silence says it all. Elsewhere, Hee Tae's father meets with Han Suk-jeon, who proposes big changes for Changhwa Pharmaceuticals. With martial law looming, the plan is to shift control, even if it means betraying close allies. Hee Tae's father agrees, another quiet crack in the crumbling world around them. That evening, Hee Tae drinks with Soo-chan. The older man warns him about responsibilities and consequences, clearly displeased about the runaway stunt. But Hee Tae calls him out, is this really about duty, or jealousy over Myung Hee? Drunk and hazy, Hee Tae stumbles to Myung Hee's house, supposedly for a tutoring session. Instead, he passes out. The next morning, he wakes to a table full of hangover cures, made just for him. Later, the two eat lunch with Myung Soo and Young Tae. Mid-meal, the kids bluntly ask about their relationship. The adults awkwardly laugh it off, "We're just friends," they say. But no one really believes it. After lunch, they all head to a theme park, riding rides, and sharing laughs. On the bus ride home, with the kids asleep, Myung Hee gently encourages Hee Tae to connect more with Young Tae. The boy clearly wants his older brother's affection. But things turn serious fast. Young Tae confronts Hee Tae about their mother, furious about the whispers calling her a mistress. Hee Tae calmly explains that he was born in wedlock, but reassures his younger brother. "You're not less. You don't need to feel anxious. It's not perfect, but it's something." That night, Myung Hee returns home to find Soo-chan waiting. He asks directly about her and Hee Tae, warning her not to be fooled. But she's not confused. She knows what she feels, and she's willing to face whatever judgment comes. Soo-chan, clearly jealous, can't hide his disappointment. His feelings for her linger, even now. The next morning, Soo confronts Myung Hee too. She thinks Myung Hee's making a mistake and believes it'll all be better once she leaves town. But this hits harder than expected. Their bond goes back years, to childhood days at church, to protests and secret flyers. And now, even that connection is cracking. Later, Sorian is cornered by Hee Tae's father and Changkun. They demand to know who Hee Tae's been seeing. Sorian lies again, protecting her friend. For now, it works, but Hee Tae's father promises, next time, his son will be punished. As evening falls, Myung Hee and Hee Tae share a real kiss. It's soft, full of hope. She smiles and says, "See you tomorrow." But tomorrow never comes easy in May. Just moments after they part, Myung Hee is grabbed and forced into a car, her scream lost in the night. Episode 7 begins in darkness. Myung Hee wakes up tired and terrified. She's been kidnapped not by protesters, but by men working for Hee Tae's father, Ki-nam. She tries to steady her breath, but the fear is real. Meanwhile, Hee Tae drops off a book for young Jin-ae. He asks if Myung Hee's come home, but she hasn't. She's also missing from work. Worry begins to spread. Desperate, Hee Tae calls Sorian. But Soo-chan grabs the phone, hangs up, and tells his sister not to get involved. Even the police brush him off, telling him to come back in 3 days. As Hee Tae considers going to Myung Hee's parents, fate steps in. An old woman mistakes him for someone else and brings him inside, into Myung Hee's family home. There, her father Hyun-chul realizes who Hee Tae is and believes he's dating his daughter. Later, Hee Tae finally sees Myung Hee again, walking home. But something's changed. She steps away from him, guarded and distant. The story rewinds. In flashback, we see the truth. Myung Hee was taken by order of Ki-nam. He brings up her past in student protests and drops a bomb. Her father is labeled a communist. Now, she's the daughter of an enemy. To make matters worse, he freezes her passport. She's stuck, threatened, and powerless. After her release, Myung Hee confides in Soo-chan. He tells her to wait and be patient. But she's already breaking inside. Returning home, emotions boil over. She confronts her father about his past and the truth spills out. Flashbacks reveal the brutality. Years ago, Ki-nam tortured Hyun-chul, beating him into silence, leaving him with a limp that's haunted him ever since. Later, Hee Tae waits at the station. But when Myung Hee arrives, she walks straight past him, wordless, cold, hurt. She disappears into a wave of protesters, a visual echo of the chaos in her heart. Eventually, Hee Tae catches up to her. Tears in her eyes, she confesses. "I'm scared of you now." She tells him to ask his father for the full truth. He does. Hee Tae confronts Ki-nam, begging him to let Myung Hee live her life. But Ki-nam doesn't bend. Instead, he tells Hee Tae to leave for Seoul and promises to handle Myung Hee his own way. At home, Sorian and Soo-chan finally tell their father everything: the protests, the lies, the consequences. Soo-chan insists that Myung Hee shouldn't be punished for their choices. The stress becomes too much. Soo-chan collapses from a sudden cardiac arrest. He survives, but it's a wake-up call. Now, Sorian must make a decision. The cost of silence is rising fast. That evening, Hee Tae meets Myung Hee one last time. He's being forced to leave for Seoul. He thanks her for the precious moments they shared, a few beautiful weeks that now feel like a lifetime. With trembling hands, he gives her back the earring she gave him. It's broken, like them. He apologizes, and she walks away without turning back. And in that moment, the heartbreak is complete. Hee Tae is shattered. So is Myung Hee. Neither wanted this ending. But in 1980 Gwangju, love doesn't always get to survive. Episode 8 opens at the train station. Hee Tae waits with his suitcase, headed for Seoul, not by choice, but by pressure. Sorian's family sees her off, while she reflects on her friendship with Myung Hee. She had told Myung Hee she was leaving. Myung Hee had only smiled, a quiet, bitter acceptance of everything unraveling. On the train, Sorian and Hee Tae sit across from each other in silence. There's distance, not just physical, but emotional. When they arrive in Seoul, Sorian finds herself swept into the middle of a student protest. Passion fills the air as students chant for freedom. Hee Tae quietly pulls her back, grabbing her suitcase and walking away. He takes her to his empty house, cold and distant. He leaves without explanation, heading instead to the university to find his old friend Kyung Soo. But Kyung Soo doesn't welcome him. Too much damage has been done. Meanwhile, Ki-nam visits Suchan at work. He pushes again for the joint business program. But Suchan stands firm, his calm demeanor hiding the tension underneath. Elsewhere, Myung Hee spends the day with the neighborhood kids, treating them to fried chicken. Her little brother, Myung Soo, asks why she broke up with Hee Tae. She simply smiles and says they're still friends. Later, Suchan meets Myung Hee in private. He has big news: her visa has been approved. She can finally leave Korea. But she doesn't celebrate. She brushes it off, trying to be strong. Suchan, emotional, offers to help her. Tears fill his eyes, but she gently refuses, not wanting to owe anyone. Back in Seoul, Sarayan overhears protesters discussing the growing resistance. They recognize her and urge her to rejoin the fight. Shaken, she rushes out, apologizing to Sangmin, realizing she's been hiding too long. At home that night, she confronts Hee Tae. She's tired of the silence. She blames herself for Myung Hee's suffering. But Hee Tae reminds her, none of this is her fault. He brings her to the hospital to meet Sukul, the brave woman leading the labor strike. She's being transferred under government pressure. Seeing her sacrifices, Sarayan feels ashamed of her own inaction. Afterward, she tells Hee Tae the truth. Myung Hee isn't angry. She's just hurting. Sarayan encourages Hee Tae to go back to Gwangju to fight for his love. They shake hands, parting on quiet terms. Back in Gwangju, Myung Hee signs off paperwork at work and pauses. The name on the file reads, Hee Tae. Memories come rushing back. She heads to church for comfort, but outside, she sees him. Hee Tae stands across the street, eyes glassy, voice trembling. I want to be with you, he says. Can I come closer? She runs to him, no hesitation. Their embrace is raw, emotional, long overdue. The pain, the fear, the longing, it all pours out. That night, they talk softly. Hee Tae compares himself to a lonely radio signal, lost until she found him. They kiss, slow and tender. A promise is made: she has nothing to fear anymore. But just as love finds its way back, reality crashes in. Sirens scream through the streets. Soldiers rush to their posts. Martial law is declared. Ki-nam, in military uniform, orders his troops to mobilize. The storm is coming. As the episode ends, Sarayan returns to find the protest site empty. Gone. The students have vanished and the army is on its way to Gwangju. The episode 9 opens with Ki-nam handing over a list names to be arrested. Without mercy, soldiers charge through streets and homes, dragging civilians away, beating them without hesitation. The city descends into chaos. But for Hee Tae and Myung Hee, it's still quiet. A fragile, temporary peace. They're making plans to leave unaware that the storm has already arrived. Elsewhere, Sarayan rushes into the police station, searching desperately for Haegun, who's suddenly gone missing. Instead, she overhears disturbing whispers: martial law is in full effect. She flees the station, ignoring call after call from her brother Suchan, who waits at home in silent worry. At the student hideout, Hee Tae finds the place destroyed. Just then, Sarayan appears. They talk about the chaos in the city, and about Hee Tae's plan to escape with Myung Hee. But suddenly, a bloodied Sunmin stumbles in, collapsing in front of them. Meanwhile, Myung Hee visits her little brother Myung Soo and reveals she's leaving. He's crushed, but she promises to cheer him on during nationals. She boards a bus, only for soldiers to barge in. One grabs her, mistaking her for a college student. Before she can explain, Hee Tae jumps aboard and shields her, taking a violent blow instead. They manage to escape, but Hee Tae is injured. Myung Hee takes him to the hospital. He needs a CT scan, but time isn't on their side. With the streets under curfew, they have no choice but to wait it out at the hospital overnight. Elsewhere, Haegun is being tortured. Strapped to a chair, bloodied and bruised, he refuses to break. Ki-nam watches with cold eyes. Out on the streets, civilians are dragged from schools and homes, students, workers, anyone who dares speak. The beatings spread like wildfire. Back at the hospital, Hee Tae and Myung Hee argue. Should they stay and help the wounded, or escape while they still can? Hee Tae promises they'll leave by 7 p.m. But for now, he chooses to stay and treat the injured. Surayan, meanwhile, is hiding in the streets with fellow protesters. Soldiers are closing in until the kind police officer from earlier swoops in. He risks his life, diverting the soldiers and helping the group escape. As Surayan runs through the streets, she slams right into Suchan. Grabbing her wrist, he begs her to go home. To hide. To stay safe. But Surayan refuses. I have to do something, she says. Just before she walks away, Suchan says, if you go now, you're no longer family to me. She leaves anyway. Back at the hospital, chaos continues. A student named Jin arrives with a severe head injury. Hee Tae tends to her, stitching her up, but soon she collapses. She's not breathing. Memories of Sukul flood Hee Tae's mind, the trauma still raw. But he pushes through his panic and performs CPR. Myung Hee rushes to find help. Thanks to Hee Tae's efforts, Jin survives surgery. He saved her life. Later, the brave police officer who helped Surayan is found in an alley, beaten nearly to death. He sees her one last time, softly asks her name, and then dies in her arms. Meanwhile, Suchan is beaten too for defending a young protester. No one is safe. As night falls, hope begins to flicker. Kinam's superior arrives to escalate the crackdown. At the hospital, the lights are turned off. Doctors and nurses whisper in the dark, praying the building goes unnoticed. Outside, armed forces gather. Inside, people wait in fear and in silence, hoping to survive what comes next. Tensions rise as episode 10 begins. Surayan reunites with her old protester group, but Buyong greets her with hostility. Forgiveness won't come easy. Her betrayal still lingers in the air. At the hospital, the chaos only intensifies. One after another, new patients arrive, civilians wounded by their own soldiers. Among them, an 18-year-old boy, shot in both the stomach and the hand. The sight of him stuns everyone. Outrage erupts. The military is now openly firing at innocents. The emergency committee gathers, emotions high, voices louder. The pastor steps up, demanding the withdrawal of troops. News of this bold move reaches Kinam. He's not pleased, and tells his superior that from now on, he'll attend the meetings himself. Back home, Kinam receives even worse news. Suchan, his own son, has been arrested. In a quick, painful flash, we see Suchan bloodied and broken behind bars. Elsewhere, Hyunchul, Myung Hee's father, sets out with an envelope for his daughter. With no buses running, he begins walking the long way into town. Meanwhile, Myung Soo and his friend Yeung Tae sneak out of their training camp right into a street protest. But the soldiers are waiting. With cold precision, they raise their rifles and open fire. Gunshots ring through the air. Myung Soo is hit, a bullet tears through his foot. Jin-ae's father, caught in the crossfire, spots the wounded boy, but can't reach him. Bullets slice through the street like wildfire. Back at the hospital, Jin-ae's father tells Myung Hee everything. Frantic, she calls the training camp. Her fears are confirmed, the boys are missing. Fueled by urgency, Myung Hee and Hee Tae jump into action. They begin retrieving the wounded from the streets, dodging bullets as they go. During one of their runs, Myung Hee hears a child crying. She spots a familiar shoe, Myung Soo's. Without hesitation, she sprints toward the sound. Soldiers take aim, shots are fired, but they miss. Kyung Soo, watching nearby, is enraged. He gives chase, gun in hand, ready to retaliate. Hee Tae stops him just in time, saving Kyung Soo from doing something he'll regret forever. The team makes it back to the ambulance. And at last, good news. Myung Soo and Yeung Tae have safely returned to the training camp. Myung Soo manages to call, and Myung Hee breaks down in relief. But the storm isn't over yet. Surian, meanwhile, finds herself at odds with her protester comrades. They've armed themselves, ready to fight. She's not sure violence is the answer, and that doubt sets her apart once again. Kinam, learning Hee Tae never left for Seoul, turns his attention to Suchan. Surprisingly, he releases him, but not without warning. Live a quiet life, he says coldly. And stay out of trouble. At the hospital, Hyunchul finally arrives, desperate to convince Myung Hee to leave. But she refuses, there are too many people still in need. Hee Tae, heart heavy, quietly gets into the ambulance and drives back into the chaos. But the streets are no longer safe. A military truck cuts them off and another speeds toward them. We don't see the crash. Only the face of a nurse, running, breathless, broken. Her eyes say it all, something terrible has happened. The screen fades, but the fear stays with us. Episode 11 begins at the train station where the past and present quietly collide. A trembling man is presented with a broken locket, one filled with memories long buried. It belongs to Hyunchul. And as we're pulled back in time, we see how things began to unravel. At the hospital, Myung Hee reels from the news of a hit and run. But the only one brought in is Dr. Yu. Hee Tae is missing. Taken by the same men who caused the crash under orders from Kinam himself. Elsewhere, Hee Tae wakes up, bloodied and bruised. Kinam stands over him, threatening him. Leave Gwangju now, or Myung Hee pays the price. And as if twisting the knife further, Kinam makes another call. To Surian's father, revealing that she, too, is back in town. Meanwhile, Suchan stumbles into the hospital, injured but alive. He tells Myung Hee that Hee Tae and Surian are back. And in that moment, Suchan sees the truth in Myung Hee's eyes. She loves Hee Tae. But danger still looms. Back at Kinam's house, Myung Hee is held captive, tied and locked in a room. Young Tae sees what's happening, but Kinam shuts him down. Gwangju, he says, is now completely sealed. No one gets in. No one gets out. Elsewhere, Hyunchul talks with young Myung Soo about the broken locket and what it means. He knows his daughter's heart belongs in Gwangju. So, Naeju will have to wait. Myung Soo, desperate, calls Young Tae and learns Hee Tae is in danger. Young Tae is overwhelmed, caught between fear and duty. To his mother, he says, anything is less scary than being home. He begs her to help free Hee Tae. Inside a dark cell, Haegun is being tortured. Still, he doesn't break. Until Kinam threatens to kill his entire family. To survive, Haegun lies, spinning a story about Hee Tae. But Kinam doesn't believe it. He lashes out, beating Haegun with uncontrollable fury. Back at the hospital, a weak, bloodied Hee Tae finally appears before Myung Hee. Her eyes widen. He's alive, released thanks to Haeryung, who's now being beaten by her monstrous husband. Young Tae, helpless, hears every blow echo through the house. He sobs, powerless to stop it. Hee Tae, now resting in the hospital with N4, receives a quiet visit. It's Hyunchul. He hands Hee Tae money, and the family locket. He calls Myung Hee his precious daughter. A sign of respect, love, and acceptance. After he leaves, Myung Hee and Hee Tae escape to a small church. They speak softly, their voices echoing off stained glass. About family, about pain, and about hope. Then, Myung Hee asks the question. Do you want to get married? Meanwhile, Hyunchul and Myung Soo prepare to leave Gwangju. They sit quietly on the back of a truck, eating rice balls, their last meal together in the city. A map in hand, they're dropped off at the edge of town. No vehicles. No safe path. Only a long walk ahead, dodging soldiers along the way. But then, a gunshot tears through the silence. They dive for cover. Hyunchul makes a choice. To save his son. He steps into the open. And the screen fades. The finale episode begins in May 2021. A quiet phone call breaks the silence. I've found her, says a voice. The past is about to come flooding back. Back in 1980, Hee Tae and Myung Hee are still hiding. They share a tender moment, pretending to hold a wedding ceremony. Hee Tae says if he dies, he hopes to be buried beside her. But joy doesn't last long. A soldier arrives with tragic news. Hyunchul is dead. Myung Soo survived, but it's a painful loss. Among Hyunchul's belongings, Myung Hee finds a letter. In it, he writes of how proud he is of her. Her wings have grown strong, while his were clipped long ago. Elsewhere, Kang is being investigated for Haegun's murder. But he hasn't stopped. He orders a hit on Myung Hee, determined to teach her a lesson. At home, his world begins to crumble. Haeryung files for divorce. But Kang refuses, insisting even Myung Tae will choose him. Meanwhile, Suchan is weighed down by guilt. He's lived in luxury while others suffered. Now, he and Surian work together to bring supplies to victims of the uprising. Even Surian's father changes. He opens their storefronts to help the people. Finally, a sliver of redemption. Hee Tae sends word to Myung Hee to meet him. But the woman who arrives isn't her. A soldier appears, gun raised. Myung Tae jumps in, saving her, but takes a bullet to the leg. The chaos unfolds before Kang and Haeryung's eyes. As everyone rushes to help, Kang is left alone, staring at the damage his cruelty has caused. Then, Myung Soo disappears. Hee Tae and Myung Hee split up to find him. Hee Tae hands her the locket and a plea to stay safe. But fate steps in. Hee Tae is stopped by soldiers. They're ready to shoot, until one man steps up. He's from Gwangju and he spares Hee Tae's life. But Myung Hee faces her own choice. Soldiers close in. She tells Myung Soo to run. And when one of them takes aim at the boy, she throws herself in front of the bullet. One final, selfless act. She dies, protecting the brother she loved. Hee Tae searches desperately for her. But she's gone. His love, lost forever. We jump to Seoul, 2021. Hee Tae is now a respected professor. He carries himself with quiet strength. But the pain of the past never left him. He visits a patient named Sukchul. Through their conversation, we learn Surian is a lawyer. And Myung Soo became a priest. They found Myung Hee. Kyung Soo, the soldier who once saved Myung Soo, now delivers Hee Tae the locket and a letter. In it, Myung Hee had written a prayer. To swim through life with clarity, with strength. Hee Tae kneels at her grave. It's been 41 years. And all this time, he never truly moved on. He even tried ending his life. But now, he promises her something different. He leaves a final note. Then turns and walks away from the grave. This time, not in sorrow, but with the quiet resolve to live. And the screen fades to black. That's it for today's recap of Youth of May. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next episode recap. Let me know in the comments what drama you want to see next. See you soon in the next recap.